I'm excited for today's chat. So, thank you for joining me. We're going to discuss a little bit of humanity today, life purpose, and of course, the stories that got me to where I am today. So, let's begin with talking about this idea of life purpose and how grandiose it has become in our culture. Really, I think it plummets people into depression and dorsal states all the time because it's like every day isn't magical and productive and furthering my purpose and cause in humanity itself. Like, that's a lot. We carry a lot on our shoulders, and that feels like too much, to be honest. I wonder if you can agree or disagree with that. Here's the deal. The human experience is covered with emotions and motivations and ebbs and flows. Okay. So I like to think of myself as a human and all humanity in the context of like seasons of the weather. All right. And climate. So there is winter, spring, summer, and fall. And each season has its own purpose and reason for the life cycle. All right. So when we look at the human experience in life, it's like there are different seasons, and maybe it's not every year we have 4 seasons in it, but over a lifetime, we're beginning to see, or hopefully we can kind of look back and say, oh, I can see these different seasons in my life. I was really learning this. I was plugging in and exploring this part of myself, or this kind of relationship, or this career path, or whatever it is. So where I see people get overwhelmed is when they want to be in like a spring and summer season all their entire life. And what that leads to is actually disillusionment and burnout and depression. It can, right? So, and here's why, because I'm 41, and I could just tell you with 100% certainty that is unrealistic. No human ever in the existence of humanity has been on a high in like a energetic, ambitious, hustling, quote unquote season for their entire life from start to finish. It doesn't happen. That's inhumane. That's maybe robotic, maybe like a machine. That's the life cycle of a machine, okay, not a human. So when we think about what is the purpose of my life, but also all humans, right? What are we doing here? Again, as you know, I grew up in fundamental religion that says we're here to share the gospel of Jesus Christ and the Father and that message. I have since um, gone through that season of my life and come out the other side and was still asking, why am I here? What is the purpose? Because it is not, my personal belief. Again, I don't need everybody to believe this, but my personal belief is that we are not here to build and create something that we will not enjoy in this life, but we will enjoy in the next life. Like, that is not interesting to me. Like, no thanks. I'm ready to check out then. No, it wasn't motivating enough for me. So I really had to look for, I love life. I've kind of always been that way. I don't know why, because it's been a little bit of a struggle. I do know why, though. I mean, I just love, what I really love is the unknown and the mystery part of it, but also just the connection and the aspect of like, I can do whatever the fuck I want, to an extent, right? If you know me, I have a pretty deep level of integrity. I'm not going to just fuck around and, I'm not trying to hurt anybody or cause harm. And so I'm very mindful of those things. However, when it comes to my personal life choices and things like that, I feel more and more, the older I get, full freedom to explore. Let me try this and see how that goes and see what it feels like in my body and nervous system. And if that's a yes for me, And where I've landed today, okay, and again, this can change, and I hope that it does over time, continue to evolve. But where I've landed today that feels pretty solid is that humans are here to learn and love, to explore and experience. We're literally, whatever you believe about your soul, that doesn't really matter, I wouldn't think, because I've kind of gone through the whole gamut of, afterlife and what happens and soul beliefs and things like that. But whatever you believe about the soul and its eternalness or its finiteness, I think we can maybe agree that we get one life in this form to learn and explore and almost like play around. And if our pillar and our center can be love itself, not that I will be loved and find some great man or woman or person to love me. Not that. That's not what I'm talking about. Not that I'm going to have a baby so I'll have somebody who can love me forever. No, that's not what I'm talking about. That's a very egocentric way to look at love. What I'm talking about is that kind of deep level care and compassion and presence and acceptance of not just humans, but all life, right? Nature, animals, plants, Mother Earth herself. Really connecting with the energy and essence of love itself. And some people will call that God. That's great. I call it the cosmos or the universe or energy. It doesn't matter what you call it, really. The point is that exchange, us as humans having this exchange with love itself. And if we could keep drawing ourselves back to that, what would love do in this situation? What would love say here? What would love respond? How would love respond? I think that can be such a beautiful guide as we are exploring and learning and making our choices. So, story time. Now that you know the premise of how I kind of live my life, I will say in the last 9 years, so since my husband, my kid's dad, passed, um, we I have been presented, I will say, it has come across my path quite often, quite regularly, this encounter with different systems that do not see, understand, or appreciate any family dynamic or any, I don't know, social dynamic that's kind of outside that standard American dream of, dad and a mom and the home and the kids and the job and the fence and the groceries and the soccer and the life, right? We know this. We know this. I am so many deviations outside that standard that I'm like in no man's land here, literally. Okay. Because very few structured systems have room for me, meaning the lifestyle that I've chosen for myself, the life that I've created for me and my children. It is what keeps coming across my path as I'm learning, exploring, loving, playing, experiencing life is is this almost brick wall of, oh, you look different, but you still need to do everything we're doing. And what I mean is, you know, having a one income home, having a one parent home, really, I'm not two people. I am not mom and dad. I am just mom. And there's only so much time to do all the things that really multiple people were designed to be doing in our social structure, right? Taking care of a home, making meals, doing all the research on screen time and food and what's safe for our kids, having those conversations with the kids, figuring out driver's ed, saving for everyone's college and futures, including my own, so my kids don't have to take care of me or something. Being the breadwinner, bringing home, all the bills, all the money for these things. And on top of that, also nurturing and staying connected to my children as they grow and develop through every season of their life. Yeah, that's too much for one person. I'm just going to say that. Okay. We are a herd species. We were designed to be in a herd, like in a tribe with multiple adults helping, lending hands. And what I'm learning is that that's okay. It's okay for me to not be able to do it all. And when I say I'm learning it, I mean I'm actively deconstructing this very, very intense pressure to be all of it, to do all of it. And not just do it, but like succeed, like come out on top, where I'm making bank and my kids are soaring successfully through school, and they are just emotionally grounded and sound, and they are happy, and somehow we all are thriving. Like, what in the actual? Maybe that worked at some point. I don't know, because a lot of times, there's a lot of tension in the home, okay, when there's multiple adults. But maybe it worked, maybe it didn't. But I'll just tell you right now, I know that I am not the only family unit and the sort of picture of the new modern kind of family that's maybe doing things outside the standard constant of this American life, right? And so for me, and what I want you to think about today is what it would take to deconstruct that idea of this is how a family runs best. And if it's not a mom and a dad and the kids, and the dad being the main breadwinner, or one of the parents being the main breadwinner, which I think we've moved away from that idea enough. But usually there's somebody, right? There's one parent that makes most of the money. The other parent's like the support and comes in with like the household and the children, and that's their main focus. And this is the unit, right? And they are able to do all the things to raise the family and come out where everybody's financially and emotionally and spiritually sound. What if that changes? And what if we can be a part of that change? And do we see a need for it? Like, these are the questions that I think are burning all around us, and we're maybe not able to articulate them and actually identify them. So think about it for your own family. Think about it, what is and isn't working for you from this old conditioning. So maybe you are seamlessly in that pretty traditional American standard, and that's beautiful. I have no shade for that. My only point here is, can we broaden our thinking to include all different kinds of families in all different ways that they come? And I'm not just talking about LGBTQ and other abled families and single parent families. All of that is absolutely profound and needs to be acknowledged. The children in them, the adults in those families need to have space, and they need to be able to have a voice at whatever table. And so things will look differently for them. I'm also talking about within the family dynamics, the emotional and psychological support, the financial support, the mental and spiritual stability of a family, all those things. It just matters, right? So if we're looking at our own, kind of self-evaluating our own families, where are the gaps and the holes, and how can we lean on the other people in our world, in our community, who maybe has those strengths, has those parts of our tribe that are missing. It's a big topic, right? I just wanted to kind of brush past that because it's constantly coming into my wheelhouse with, it's like, this is how many volunteer hours are required of every family. And I'm like, that's so cute, for all the sports teams and whatnot. And I'm like, that's so great. What's interesting is that I'm always running one kid to one thing and the other kid to the other, and I'm the only adult, right? And then I got to make sure they all have dinner and I got to finish working. And somehow I got to go, I have to get the groceries and there's a lot to be done, right? It's too much for one person. So those standard protocols and policies, I need the application for accommodations. It's really like, how can we see all families? How can we see all families instead of this one idealized American standard? Because it no longer, I mean, yes, it exists, as in, sure, that happens for some people sometimes, but it is no longer the standard. It's long outdated. So there's your food for thought today. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your experience and how you are navigating your learning and your love in this life.